Hello to the internet. I am A.M. Grabelny, a technical evangelist here at AWS. I'm joined by some friends, some more friends. We're going to talk about industrial IoT. We'll get into that in a minute. I want you guys to introduce yourselves to the wonderful people watching us.
Hey everybody, I'm Usman Anwar. I'm a senior product manager on the IoT Analytics and Applications team. Recently launched AWS IoT Sitewise, specifically for industrial customers.
My name is Markus Besteron. I'm from the IoT prototyping team in EMEA. And I'm business development manager.
And I am Rudy Chetty, a solutions architect with AWS, and I have a specialty in IoT.
Yeah, you.
I'm responsible for these fancy tags we
You're
have.
you're the madman behind our names,
it's
right?
because there's so many of us on stage, we don't want to get confused, right?
Yeah.
But
also,
you know what? Yeah, you saying?
I think you're going to change these midstream.
You know,
probably.
I do have my phone on me.
This is a big risk that I'm taking.
Well,
for you,
I
Rudy.
can't actually change this one here. I mean, it says AWS IoT right now.
I don't believe you. I believe that you can change any of these at any time, and that you've sabotaged me.
You know,
now.
this is a family-friendly stream show.
Okay. I don't know that I trust you yet. I'm going to keep my eye on you.
Well,
but we're here to talk about
we are. Hey.
industrial IoT, right? And what kind of things to consider, right? IoT is it's a broad area, right? There's a lot of IoT devices. It's just basically any device that can connect up to the internet and send data over the internet, right? A refrigerator, a car, all kinds of devices. I don't know if these are internet enabled. Are they
actually,
internet
this one
enabled?
is.
That one is.
This one is.
Okay. Yeah. So what types of things do you have to consider when doing this at an industrial level versus a consumer product level versus just an internal business level, right? That's kind of some of the stuff that I hope to hit on.
Well, actually, yeah. Let's jump to Usman. Do you have an answer for that lovely question?
Yes. So when we look at industrial customers and industrial operations, we start to see some patterns that tend to be different from what we see with consumer customers.
Okay.
Like the first thing is to look for the data, right? Like why are you doing the Internet of Things? Why are you connecting devices to the internet?
Sure.
At the end of the day, you want to identify or know the state of your processes and operations. So you got to know what sort of data you need to inform them to optimize them. So so look for the data. Once you have the data, you have to figure out how to get it. So you have to devise a strategy on what's a cost-effective and a reliable way to get it out. And once it's in the cloud, now you can do a whole bunch of things with that data.
Yeah.
You can fire off Lambda functions. You can train machine learning models. You can feed it to process dashboards. So there's a whole bunch of use cases that you can enable.
Yeah.
So one of the core or first things to do is to identify that use case, identify the data, and then go from there.
And is this where you went with Sitewise when you guys launched it?
Yes, exactly. Like Sitewise is all about making it easy to liberate data from industrial facilities.
Yeah.
So you can use it for all sorts of applications, for remote monitoring, alarming, machine learning, analytics.
Okay, so in a fulfillment center, you can group everything together, push it up to the cloud.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. But then, if we switch to Marcus, it sounds like you do prototyping, man.
Yes.
I think everyone wishes they could just prototype all day. So you do?
Yes and no.
I wish I could prototype more.
Remember,
Usman,
family
you
friendly.
mentioned something that kind of hit home to me. I felt definitely at the advent of the IoT craze, right? There were a lot of people searching for use cases and kind of just shoehorning IoT into it. Do you still see that in this space?
Actually, it's very different in this space.
Okay.
So the customers that we have talked to, they have a very scope business problem that they're trying to go after.
Right.
Like they have assets all over their industrial facilities, and then there's one KPI that they really need to monitor well in order to make sure that they're not losing inventory, like the processes are working fine. We have renewable energy companies that are looking to optimize their wind power, solar power generation.
Right.
So at the heart of industrial IoT, there are very core business problems.
Yeah, I think definitely makes sense for industrial use cases, right? And I think that's really important. I just wanted to highlight that point that you made was you have to have a really good reason for doing this, right?
And at the same time, one of our goals in AWS IoT is to make experimentation easier.
Yes.
Right? If you are an engineer on the factory floor, right, or a process engineer, automation engineer based in HQ, you have a bright idea that, hey, wouldn't it be great if I could like talk to this machine and that machine and learn about this and learn about that?
Absolutely.
And even if like the use case is not clear, one of our goals is to make that experimentation exploration easier.
Oh, that's
because
great.
once you build a prototype, you might find a very interesting use
Yeah.
case that you might not have considered before.
You're talking about the PLC one, right?
Yeah.
Where it's not normally something you'd have access to,
Exactly.
at least with IoT, and this is where your kind of expertise comes in. It sounds like you built a prototype around that.
Yeah, we usually go to customers when they have a use case or they have an idea they would like and get implemented or get started on IoT. In many cases, it's about getting started somewhere. And then we send people on site to customers, and they are going to be there for 2-4 weeks and build it with the customer. Something really that is production, it's almost production ready usually, and something that really works for the customer, implements a business use case, not some technology tryout, really something that is usable. And we've connected all kinds of industrial equipment. Sidewise will improve that.
I mean, is there
from
specific
injection molding machines that are like from here to here, or beverage filling machines, huge machines, but also smaller ones, tracking use cases, all kinds of use cases like that.
Is this alcoholic beverages?
If you want to have an alcoholic beverage, yes,
Okay,
it's also there.
Okay, well, cool. I mean, do you have another specific example that our viewers might find interesting? That hey, this is really a primo example of industrial IoT.
We had voice-controlled robots, for example. The robot arms that are used in production.
Yes.
They have, for example, in a car manufacturing, you have a windshield that needs to be put onto the car. And we had a use case where a production manager would like to go up to the machine and ask for certain KPIs about how is the production going
to the robot itself.
To the robot, and the robot will answer.
So
the production will answer. We are currently, compared to last week, we are 4% behind our goal, and so on and so on.
Is Judgment Day coming? It's Terminator 2.
Yeah,
is that what you were thinking?
I was getting a Terminator vibe from this.
It's like, what's the status, robot?
I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you did. Because absolutely.
It's like you got those wheels turning and you think, well, Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to appear just now. Just like...
I feel like he's going to open his arm
He's
out.
like, Marcus, let's hold off there, man.
Do you
on
think...
making the robots talk. That's the first stage.
This is a great question, by the way, for me, coming to you now. Do you think the Terminator counts as an IoT device?
Oh my god, yes!
Okay.
Yes!
All right, great. I'm glad we can clear that up for the internet. So, how do you deal with things like, you're walking through a factory, you've got machines, there's not good Wi-Fi support, right?
No.
How do you deal with network connectivity issues in an industrial IoT setting?
Well, we have, or basically a lot of our IoT solutions that we have can deal with such circumstances. For example, green grass and IoT shadows are all techniques that allow you to do something autonomously while you're not connected. And once connectivity comes back, you can be updating or synchronizing with the cloud. So these are all techniques that can cope with that. But I would say many of the operations floors, the shop floors, are usually quite well connected in the meantime. So the connectivity is, while it's an issue, it's not completely solved. In most cases, we are able to get there. Okay. In the worst case, you're using cellular modems or stuff like that.
Right. But eventually, batching up that data when there is adequate network connectivity and sending it across the wire. That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. We had a question from the chat from Klime02 or Climb. You never know how to pronounce these names. And you're always rolling the dice when you pronounce them too. You never know. Will IoT have edge computing capabilities in Amazon Vision?
Amazon what?
Amazon's Vision. I think that's like saying.
In the future. Well,
are we considering,
of course,
edge computing capabilities?
If we're going to build
in
the
IoT?
Terminator, you're going to have that. I mean, that's the end goal, right?
Isn't that
I think that's your personal end goal, Rudy, is to build a Terminator. I don't think that's representative of it.
No, you're
Just
right.
imagine.
We don't have those goals. No, we don't have. But yeah,
I might be a Terminator, but I can't disclose that.
I did see that red glow in your eye the other day.
Well, until you sign my NDA, then I can tell you about if I'm a Terminator. But yeah, are we thinking about edge computing in these use cases?
I would say, first of all, I would ask what do you understand about edge computing? I mean, when you want to run code on the edge, I mean, on a device, not on a cloud front or something, on a device,
right,
on an IoT thing, we have options to facilitate that. One of the best ones I see is Greengrass Lambdas. Which allows you to have a Greengrass core, like on an industrial PC or something, and just like you run Lambdas in the cloud, you can just provision them to that device, and I would consider that in a wider range of edge computing.
To help with the viewers that may not have understanding, can you give like a 10,000 overview? What is Greengrass, right?
Greengrass is a software that is deployed on industrial PCs or industrial equipment, computing hardware.
Right.
And you can, it allows you or gives you various capabilities, and one of them is that you can use AWS Lambdas that you know from the cloud, the Python scripts and stuff like that, and move that to the edge. And such a script, for example, is often used at the moment for connecting industrial hardware. Now this gets easier with Sidewise. So far, the most common use cases for one of these in the industrial space was you would use a Python script or a Node.js script to connect to an OPC UA server. Now you can do that with Sidewise.
Usman, tell us about that. How does Sidewise make that easier?
So what Sidewise does is it packages some of the core capabilities that industrial customers need to analyze machine data and compare facilities. And we basically run, we are a software that runs on top of Greengrass.
Oh, okay.
So we're using Greengrass under the covers, but then we have software that can discover and read data directly from OPC UA servers, and we can read thousands of data streams concurrently, and then send them to the cloud. And the device that we have, the experience we've built around it is designed for the industrial administrator, so they can manage these edge gateways that are deployed across multiple facilities from a central location. So they can see like, hey, how much data is being transferred, and which could be important for bandwidth purposes. They can see what are all the data streams they're solving. Yeah. So we're sort of solving like the data collection part of edge compute, and the data management part of edge compute,
which is a huge part
with Sidewise.
Yeah.
And important to highlight here that you can also do like Sidewise and Greengrass sort of work in parallel. Okay. So if you want to do, if you want to have a totally local system, right, that can read data from one machine, take an action, what Greengrass does is it brings some of the functionality of IoT Core, like the message broker, and the device gateway for authentication down at the edge.
Okay.
So you don't have to like architect your solutions completely differently from in the cloud and then completely differently on premises.
Oh, that's helpful. Anytime you have to re-architect, right? That's not a useful use of time. So we also have another element. HTTP is asked, is there an option for IoT gateway? And I don't know if he means specifically, or he or she means specifically for Sidewise or just the IoT, something like maybe Greengrass.
That's what I was thinking, the Greengrass option.
You think?
It could be. I mean, look, I think to add on what Marcus said is the key point there is that the messaging, as in devices can actually send messages to each other offline versus having to go through the cloud, and that's the advantage of Greengrass. So adding onto any of these, a gateway is capable.
So we have a very broad network of partners that are providing Greengrass-enabled gateways. right?
So it's
Dell,
baked into the
exactly.
device already.
I mean,
Yeah.
anything from a Raspberry Pi to a fully fledged Beckhoff industrial PC is going to be can be used as a gateway device.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then we also have free RTOS, which is the embedded
the
operating
operating
system.
system,
That's not technically a gateway, but that's software that can run on individual embedded devices and connect them directly to the cloud. So you don't need to go through a gateway.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I really like this question.
Oh, is there another one there?
It's a good one. They're all great questions.
from
But
Moon
I
9.
like this one. How will the face of MUU9 asks, how will the face of industrial manufacturing move from strength to intelligence over the next 10 to 20 years?
Damn.
It's a doozy.
That's a mouthful of a question.
That's an exciting one.
How many more time do we have?
So I think he really got inspired by your guys' Terminator idea.
Yeah, I think Terminator's the next 10 to 20 years, right? It's okay. We'll preempt the next session, and you guys can talk for another 20 about this.
But the whole thing, though, if we go along that lines, is for customers that are trying to get into the industrial IoT space, is there anything that either of you would recommend to say, look, start this way, or do it, in the correct way from the start, as opposed to redoing it as you go along? Is there any advice that you'd impart on them?
Well, I can maybe chip in here. I can say one thing is you need to have a clear use case. That's good. If you have a good use case.
Yeah.
And don't start with the thought I can just buy IoT from the shelf. Don't go there and say, oh, I'm just going to buy an IoT solution. I'm going to buy myself IoT.
Okay.
Because IoT usually touches the core of the customer's business, and just buying that off the shelf usually covers maybe 80% of the requirements, but it doesn't really, it's not going to give you a competitive advantage. You need to build it. You need to own it. That's the most important point. So there's a don't.
Yeah.
Don't start like RFPing and tendering, and go there and start prototyping or work hands-on.
Okay, that's what
start working hands-on. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Everybody in the IoT space. Another point is everybody can do everything on PowerPoint.
I didn't know PowerPoint counts as IoT, but now that I think about it, yes.
Yeah, but there's.
So
wait, it's a little hard to hear down here. Did you say PowerPoint?
He said PowerPoint.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought.
The distinction here is not Word, only PowerPoint.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So we have released a new service, or announced a new service, Things Graph, which helps build IoT applications visually. So using a drag and drop interface.
Yeah.
So making IoT applications one day could be as easy as
I mean, all of our services try to move try to relieve the customer from all of that. I mean, the certificate management in IoT Core, if you had to build it, it would be a tremendous effort. All of these features, all of that is built so that the customer has an easier time focusing on his business and building that with IoT.
Okay, so you can actually do the core business versus the heavy lifting with all of our managed services that we try and do.
Yes.
But when you mentioned the prototyping thing and starting with the industrial, where you prototype, you build a device, you use something like Amazon FreeRTOS. If you want to go with straight C code or Arduino, we have those options available to all customers, and you can do that. And from what you're saying is start small and then think about expanding versus just buy it. Oh yeah, just deploy, done. Because that's where the problems come in. People just think it's you can buy it and it does everything for you, but you're like, oh wait, it's missing this and it's missing that. Now I have to go back to the drawing board, and then I can't build my Terminator.
So there's another question from Twitch, from TwitchM123 about contact center use cases with IoT.
Interesting.
Have either of you
context?
Contact, like call in for
call centers,
support, call center, right?
Yeah, Amazon Connect. I'm not sure what context you mean by that, but if you're thinking about whether someone's answered a certain number of calls, the duration, definitely integrate that into it. It's just that Connect does have that functionality built in.
Right.
If you want to leverage it where maybe they, actually, if someone's using their own cell phone, then you could count that as an IoT device.
Yeah.
If that's where this Twitch M123 is coming from,
So we're
we're
running
wrapping up?
real quick on
Okay.
time here. Where should I go if I'm interested in learning about more IoT
Isn't
on
there an
AWS?
IoT booth somewhere? No.
Oh, yeah, well, these people are on the internet, Rudy. And I don't have time to go to
My
We
bad.
need more VR support for reInvent.
Oh, okay, okay.
VR boots. That's what we
VR
gotta-
boods.
gotta go
But
next.
look, there's a lot of resources
Yeah, a lot of
on the
landing
AWS
pages.
site. There's even workshops that we have self-paced. And again, if you can get a hold of your solution architect or account manager, that's the best place to start.
Just build something. Honestly.
Just build it.
Rudy, Marcus, Usman, thank you very much.
Thank you, Internet. It's been
Now
fun.
let's build a Terminator.
Thanks,
Stay
guys, for
tuned.
joining us.
Alrighty.